Hello, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's Newsbreak. This is Newsbreak 5, and I'm here this afternoon with Seven of Soulutionaries Media Network. And I'm very excited to be talking to her this afternoon because she has just launched a very important campaign. And it's a campaign really for everybody. It's a campaign for the people, for we the people. It's a campaign for the world, both for the UK and for the US. So welcome, Seven. Thanks so much for joining me. Do you want to start off by telling us about the campaign?
Greetings, Ramola. Thank you for inviting me on your show again. And greetings to everybody who's watching live and everybody who's at home who will tune into this later. Yeah, we basically have been very active, not much sleep in the middle of the night, to getting this thing off the ground, and it's moving. We have liftoff, people. We have liftoff. Basically, what I launched is the hashtag campaign, and basically the premises of it. Primarily, it's really because we have a climate of distrust. We have a climate of complete distrust. You know, anytime anybody tries to put anything together, groups are being infiltrated. You have plants all over the place that bust it up as soon as you try to come up with the solution of what we're going to do about it. Yes. I mean, the reality for all of us who are targeted and non-targeted, even if you're non-targeted, you're targeted at this point, because we have a huge machine which is aimed at suppression, oppression, and absolute violence against the people. This is the most tyrannical, evil, horrific, horrendous machine ever seen in history. And it's coming at us at full force, and most of us have no means to defend ourselves. We have no police that we can go to. We have the judiciary at this point, although there are still good judges within the courts, I've witnessed myself, but at this point, it's entirely corrupt, okay? It's totally corrupt. We have sometimes, when you have vast amounts of evidence and you put it in front of them, sometimes even if they are corrupt, there's nothing they can do. It's like their hands are tied, you know what I mean? And so they have to face it. If you know the law and you know how the law works, it's not so easy for them to throw your case away. However, sometimes even in those situations, they still do it. We know this. It's been done to me and everybody who uses the judiciary. But I say all that to say, we've been placed in a situation where our backs are against the wall. You know, as a humanity, we literally in a situation where we've got every form of abuse coming at us, every form of attack coming at us. And basically, they almost expect us to just suck it up and sit there and allow our lives to be destroyed. These are totally psychopathic, sick people who have occupied all positions of power, and they've got their gatekeepers at every single place. Wherever we are supposed to go, the tax-paying public are supposed to go to be able to get some form of remedy, some sort of relief, some sort of protection when you are being abused on a horrific scale. I mean, my targeting has gone on for 15 years, okay? And I'm somebody who's won my case. So let alone the people who haven't been through the judiciary and haven't won their cases. And I'm still in the same situation. In fact, it's worse because they know that I've won my case and they want that covered up as well, as much as they want their crimes covered up. So basically they put a whole machinery, as you know, and everybody who's targeted knows, they put a whole operation around you, around where you live, so that they can make sure that they hem you in at every place you go to. You are blocked. All your conversations are monitored, so that if you say, okay, I'm going to court tomorrow, they'll make sure that they've got a gatekeeper waiting for you when you get there. Or if you say, I'm going to the police, you tell someone that you're going to do this, bam, they're ready in position to make sure that you do not achieve justice at any shape or form. This is where we're living at. We're living in this time in history where a country can kill people like they did in Grenfell Tower en masse, like they did in 9/11. We're talking about killing hundreds of people in broad daylight and absolutely nobody be arrested. And those of us who stand up and say we're not taking this, they're coming at us to try to silence us in one way or another. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with, if you're a creative person in the creative industries, we're dealing with a situation whereby, you know, they're trying to put us on a slavery program.
Yes,
for
and
15 years.
And that's very...
Romola.
It's very
Sorry,
connected. I'm sorry, just wanted to make one comment, and let's go right back to that issue of slavery, because the comment I just wanted to interject with is this is about monopolizing industries and monopolizing power structures and not permitting people
Absolutely.
to enter and have opportunities for themselves, not permitting other people opportunities, whether it's creative opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities, or opportunities in any sphere whatsoever. It might even be academia, it might be media, entertainment, whatsoever, but it's precisely about that. And as you say, it's like going back to slavery.
It's a slavery program. Back to slavery. We've been in slavery for the longest time. We've been in the hardcore trenches of slavery for the longest time. It's just they have so much distractions out there so that people stop paying attention to what's really going on around them. That's really what's going on. It's about preventing people having rights to ownership, rights to your own property, because intellectual property is one of the biggest marketplaces that there is, because we're dealing with the weightless economy. We're talking about revenue that comes in millions, billions and trillions of pounds every year. That's why you have all these companies that are now involved in data harvesting, data mining, all these companies like Facebook, what was the Analytica, Cambridge Analytica.
Cambridge Analytica.
They're all these different companies that are now put their energy into stealing intellectual property. It's organized IP crime on a mass scale. And this is what's happening. Most of the targeting that we're looking at, and the hacking, for instance, they're stealing people's lives. They're not just stealing, they're stealing data, they're hacking our computers, they're stealing our works. Apart from stealing our works, they're stealing our lives, they're stealing our conversations. I've heard conversations, private conversations that I've had with people on the radio featured as a topic. Literally,
yes,
private conversation. This is what is going on. We're talking about parasites who basically have no ideas, and they actually enjoy the idea that they feel that they have some power over everybody. Ha, 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 we're stealing everything from you. What can you do? It's all about this kind of false idea of power. You know,
and it's true. And
Sorry,
it's through surveillance, it's through monitoring, you know, it's through that cover. So this is called surveillance abuse. It's the cover of surveillance, it's a cover of monitoring, and then it's a complete marching into somebody's life and taking over that person's life, that person's brain, that person's abilities, competence, skills, particular unique assets and abilities, taking that over and then replaying it, as you say, in the media. You know, in the radio or on TV, you see anchors having conversations that people who are targeted are reporting occurred in their private living rooms with their family. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And not just that, the important thing to remember is that this is about profiteering. This is about mass scale profiteering. We have people who have, it's an industry, it's a covert slave trading, trafficking industry, and it's funding false flag terror, it's funding overt slavery, and also trafficking of human beings. This is what is funding it. This is the black market economy, which is funding all of these other atrocities that are playing out. It's funding not just the actual criminal side, but it's also funding the side of it, which basically maintains it. So it's funding all the gatekeepers, all the private mercenary and private security groups. That's where they're getting their wages from. It's from us. It's from what they're stealing from us they're actually plowing it back in, and they're paying to keep this whole operation going. This is why no matter where you go to try to get help, every single department will be blocked. If it isn't blocked, you might go there one day and the person will engage and want to discuss what the problem is with you. But you go back the following day, they'll be tipped off, keep your mouth shut, paid off, or gotten rid of in some way. And this is what the money is paying for, fixers everywhere. But now it's basically, we're talking about on an industrial scale. We're talking about this type of operation being done at literally an industrial scale. So hacking, covert surveillance, the whole 9 yards. And the heart of it is the media. The heart of it, the heart of these criminals is basically rooted within the media, the entertainment industry, and Hollywood. This is the heart of it. These are the people who are controlling the City of London. They are the shadow government. They are controlling all the banks. These people don't recognize what the media's role are in this whole thing. You see, they are the ones creating the atrocities. They're creating the Hegelian dialectic situation. So they create the problem, they bomb up wherever, they stage an attack. Then they put their machinery into place whereby they frame innocent people and they create a whole spin around the situation. Meanwhile, the people who know what is really going on are put on a program to keep them silent in the most horrific way. They're terrorized, we're terrorized. We're talking about domestic terror to horrific levels. This is what is going on. Not only that, we're talking about false flags. What people don't recognize with false flags. There's two important things that don't really come out very often when we hear people talking about false flags. We don't hear this aspect. The first aspect is that they're using false flags to make themselves be the victim. So basically, they create an atrocity so that people go, oh my God, the UK's been attacked. Oh, poor UK. So they put themselves into the victim mode, okay? So that they say, oh, if you talk about this or you flag up the fact that this was fake, oh, you've got no respect for the dead. Oh, the UK is suffering. So we have this dynamic going on. On top of it, we have another dynamic, which is, what was I going to say?
Well, I think there were two aspects you were saying of the false flag operation, right?
Yeah, two aspects of the false flag. The first thing is obviously, yes. The second thing is that these are snuff movies. These are industries. False flags, they bring donations from good, hardworking people who think, oh my God, all these people died in this atrocity. So people send their money. So this is an industry that is raking in revenue. It sells papers. You get all these, sometimes like Grenfell, you get these artists that come together that do these charity singles. Everybody plows money into the charity singles. None of it goes to the victims' families. More often than not, we're talking about an industry where the people that are perpetrating these atrocities are benefiting from it on a financial level as well. And this is what is not often discussed, so we have to understand. We also have to understand the magnitude of Operation Mockingbird and the way that works, because we're talking about people sitting down, planning to kill innocent people, like in 7/7, London bombings on the 7th of July, 2005. You'll notice it's all sevens there.
Yes.
We're talking about Charlie Hebdo. Hebdo happens to mean 7 days a week. So that's another one. We have shooting of John Charles Menendez. We have Boston. We have Grenfell Tower. Obviously 9/11. We have all these situations which are playing out very much like action movies on the television screen. It's being
so
planned.
Many. I mean, Sandy Hook, the Las Vegas massacre, the Parkland shooting, right up to the present day, right? I mean, they're all over the place.
They're being planned in exactly that way, executed in that way. And this is the horror of it. When we talk about it and we compare, okay, this event was already in mainstream media. So, for instance, we've seen a lot of false flags named in The Simpsons, in Family Guy. You know, you can go back into a lot of the entertainment and you will see that embedded in TV shows and movies are the actual false flag that took place perhaps sometime later on. Okay. Now, when you really think about the magnitude of that, we're talking about people who sat down in an office, who planned strategically, not only to kill people in the most horrific way possible, but you're talking about people who sit in an office, sipping coffee, drinking whatever they're drinking, and planning, putting it into the entertainment, profiteering from those pieces of entertainment, TV shows, and then carrying out the atrocities in real life. Okay, so just think about that for a minute. So you're basically sitting down in an office and thinking about, this shows how premeditated it is. You're planning how to kill people in broad daylight, and then you're carrying out the atrocities. And on top of that, you're framing other people who are completely innocent to take the frame for your own crimes. This is what is going on. And then on top of it, they're trying to get the mass populace to acquiesce with this madness and insanity and absolute horror. Absolute horror. These are horror snuff movies. When you map it out on paper and you look at the science of what is being done to innocent people, we're talking horror like you cannot believe. And this has to be stopped. And this is why we've started this hashtag campaign. So let me just tell you just quickly, because I don't know how much time, and I know this is a short
No,
blast.
but Seven, I wanted to say everything you're saying is so profound, and there's so much with each little nugget that you're sharing that really, you know, a lot of what you're saying we'll have to discuss at length some other time, but what you're talking about, you know, absolutely. So we will talk about the campaign in just a minute. I'm so, you know, amazed that you've been able to pull all of this together in such a profound way. I think it's so important for people to hear that all of these false flag terror events that are unfolding, continuing to unfold around us, really. I mean, there's not a day that you don't hear of some kind of weird, untoward shooting. There was an actress who was killed recently, and I still don't know the story about that. Vanessa Marquez, shot in South Pasadena in her home. And she was on ER. She was an actress from ER. So there's so many stories that we're being bombarded with, and so many mass shootings that, as you see, when you go in and you look at the timeline and you see some of this was actually foreshadowed in, you know, cartoons or some kind of show prior, that it was planned, and it appears to be part of this sort of the Satanist enterprise where these people who are practicing this cult seem to think they should put a little bit of info out, and then that in some way protects them from universal law or natural law or karma or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean,
horrifying.
This is what we are dealing with, and I really want people to really let that sink in, because you know you got to imagine what it would take for you as a human being to sit down and get with a group of people and actually not only plan to kill people in horrific ways, but actually psychopathically put what you're planning to do, put it in movies and sell it to people as entertainment. That is the lowest of the lowest of the lowest of the low. And basically, we have hit a point right now. We've hit a point right now whereby we have to transition from looking at this filth to actually addressing it. We have to get to the point where we recognize we have to snap out of the whatever hypnosis
fog
has gone on.
And hypnosis, exactly.
Whatever has kept you with your eyes completely can't see this thing, you're going to have to see it now. As ugly as it is, it has to be seen, and we have to address it head on. okay? And that's part of what the hashtag is, hashtag campaign is. There are a number of components to it. And actually it's part of a two-wave strategy, because it's not just a hashtag campaign. There's also, I'm also giving people the tools in order to carry out their own legal proceedings, using the laws as they exist in the courts today, showing how people can fill out the claim form. And because at the end of the day, the reality is every single one of those atrocities are a crime against humanity. And if you are in humanity in any shape or form, you have a right to put a claim in against these organizations. These are criminal organizations. These are criminal, completely. Let me just make sure I've got my, 1 second, Ramola. I just noticed that my cameras, my computer, the battery's about to run out. So
oh dear, okay, yeah. You may want to plug that in. Yeah. So that's absolutely astonishing, Seven. And I do still want to talk a little bit about, that's all right. I do still want to talk about a little bit, I want to have you talk about rather, what, your understanding of the media is. Most people don't realize that when the media, as we have it, mainstream media, covers these false flags and presents them as real events and paints certain characters as heroes and victims at the same time. The police and the FBI are always the heroes and the victims. And then in some cases, there are real victims. There are people who are really killed. And then in some cases, there are elaborate crisis actors that are used, right? So when people see this, the way it's presented in the New York Times, for instance, or the Chicago Tribune or the Washington Post, they get the sort of the flat two-dimensional view of the event as it occurs. They don't get the actual eventuality, the 3D larger panoramic perspective of what really has transpired here. And that's something that many people come by later, like you, and tease out, right? And analyze, and Ole Dammegard, of course, and other analysts like him, tease out how everything is falling together and why this is a false flag and so forth. But you have made a statement very often that this is actually connected to the media themselves are part of the perpetrators of these crimes. Can you explain that a little bit? How is the media actually involved in perpetrating the crime? And by media, I mean, the journalistic media, as well as, of course, the entertainment media that you often mention.
Right. What we're talking about is a crime syndicate. And that crime syndicate currently controls all positions of power, including the media. Now, what we have to understand is the media's arm works in a number of ways. It works because it is the biggest influence upon the populations of people. This is where people turn to for information. They make people, they break people, they smear people, they lie about people, they destroy lives with the media. If they want to go over and bomb certain countries, it is the media's job to sell that to the public. So the media has the biggest, the most influence on any population in any, doesn't matter what it is, okay? The media has the biggest role. The media are bigger than the government. This is why the people in the government, they toe the line. I would say the media is really the government, okay? This is really, it's bamboozles in your face. You don't really realize it. But these are the people that have the most influence over corporations, individuals, and society, all at the same time, okay? Now, what people have to understand, it's not that the media isn't covering the truth. The media are the ones who are engineering it. They're engineering it. So they work with associated TV networks. It's like an octopus with all different.
It is, and it's connected to the intelligence agencies, as we know, because, through Operation Mockingbird, we understand that. Yes.
The media, telecommunications companies, for instance, a company like Virgin, they run the telecommunications, but then they've now moved into the NHS, the National Health Service. So basically, you have an organization that was media. It's gone into it went into the telecommunications, which is all the illegal surveillance and the hacking. They're controlling the police services, what crimes the police will gag or bury, let's put it that way. So we're talking about characters like Rupert Murdoch, Helen Alexander, the Seven Gate Crime Ring, Russell's Group. These are mafia cartels, okay, that are running, and they run, how do you say, they run in sync with law firms. So you've got media law firms specifically that are connected with the media. So these law firms, they do all the deals, they do all the legal stuff, so they'll basically rig the law so that it will protect these entities, these characters, from ever being able to answer to any crimes against humanity. So what people have to understand is that it's all being engineered in-house. It's an in-house operation. The media and the entertainment industry, they are one. The music industry and Hollywood, they're all branches of the same filthy, rotten tree, okay? So we have the networks. Okay, so let's just map it out. They want to carry out a false flag. So what they will do, they will all get together. One part of it will script it. So then basically they'll script it like one of these TV shows, CSI or The Bill or any of these TV shows, okay?
They probably use TV script writers, right?
Oh, absolutely. They use ghost writers, okay? They use ghost writers. And these are all the people that have to be literally arrested, because the people that are putting all this stuff into the TV shows like Family Guy, The Simpsons and all these movies, and it being carried out later on, they're all part of a machine. All of them have a different role to play within that machine, but they're all part of a syndicate. So we have, for instance, so the networks will be ready on hand to put the news spin on it. So the TV network, so you've got the TV networks, who are the production houses, who produce the episodes of the false flag, okay? So they are the ones that will map it out. They work together with the military, intelligence agencies, and the police, corrupt police, who will all participate in the event. Everybody knows this is going to be a hocus pocus operation. So, okay, so there's not going to be any police rushing out onto the scene to arrest anybody, really, because everybody already is on standby. People already know what's about to kick off, okay?
And everyone's an actor, right? At this point, everybody's acting. Even the military, the police, the intel
Everybody is basically, all eyes are on the production, okay? It's just like if you and I were to create a TV show, we would start by creating how we're going to do the script. Then once we've mapped out the script, then you would employ the actors to carry out the script, and then basically the film crew. The film crew goes in, the actors goes in, everybody plays their part. Then it's gone to the next department, which is the news department.
Oh, the news production guys.
So that's the post department. So this has gone live. It's gone live. The action has taken place, okay? We've got people in the street who've been murdered, on the trains who've been blown up in one way or another. So then the next department goes into gears. And obviously, when you're talking about associated news networks and press networks, associated TV networks, you're talking about worldwide. So because it's a global crime syndicate, everybody will be just given. That's why in so many news stories you see all over the place people saying this exactly the same thing over and over in a parrot fashion, because they're fed the same information. All the networks are fed the same information so that everybody's coordinated, everybody says the same thing at the same time, so that basically that narrative goes out and they stick to it. They will stick to it. So no matter how many of us come forward and say it's a lie, they will stick to the lie. They know it's a lie. They know it's a complete hoax.
Right.
Do you know, when I was doing my case sometime years ago, when I started doing my case, and I realized this was going on, one of the things I realized was that while I was in court, BBC made a drama, and it was about the blowing up of a train.
Oh my goodness.
When I looked at this train, every single carriage of the train had my court case reference number, because they knew that I knew. They put the court case reference number on every single carriage of this movie. In other words, it was part of the mocking. You know, they used to basically Endemol, when they used to make a TV show called Big Brother or whatever, they used to have in the titles, at the end of each show, they would say, "Hello, Charlie." So basically, they knew that I was watching this happening. So part of it's like a private joke. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. It's all LARPing, live action role playing. That's what we're seeing in full force.
It's also covert stalking, you know.
It's covert stalking, because it's even worse than that, because you're talking about,
it's mockery, it's ridicule, it's kind of a one-up on you, kind of little wink to themselves.
Yes, it's that, but it's also part of sadistic part of the torture, because they want you to know that because basically they're watching you inside your house.
Yeah.
So they're watching your reaction to the fact that they've shot a man with your name 7 times in the head. Okay, so they're watching and gloating at your reaction. These are the kind of people that we're talking about. So when I put out hashtags boycott mainstream media, you know, people need to take that seriously. You know, some of the hashtags we've got are very straightforward and in your face. Mainstream media murders people. They are the terrorists. Okay, now they'll put a whole operation on the street, where street theater, where they'll show you basically the operation playing out. Okay, we have this operation, it goes out live. The populace who don't realize, the public who do not realize that this is going on, say, "Oh my God, there's been a terrorist attack." Okay, of course, this is what they're supposed to believe. But in reality, it's no different from watching CSI Miami, EastEnders, or any of these soap opera drama, action dramas that you see on TV. It's done in exactly the same way. Okay, these people believe that they are God. They believe they're untouchable. And the most important thing that we have to realize is that these people are Satanists. They're Luciferian, satanic people with a seriously disturbed, warped mentality on, you know, and low value for themselves.
Absolutely. Oh, for themselves and for everybody, for humanity.
They have absolutely no care about anyone. And we're talking about, these are serious crimes, people. We're talking about serious crimes. And then on top of these crimes, they kill people who want to tell people that this is happening. The way they maintain this is they think, "Oh, she knows, I know what we'll do, we'll kill her." I mean, this is the way that these people think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want people to think for a minute, because I know that some people, when they hear this and they see it and they know it's true, and they realize the magnitude of this in their hearts, some people feel afraid. But what I want people to think about is, if any of us did even 1% of what is being done to us on the most horrific scale ever seen in humanity, if we did 1% of that to any of these people, we would be locked up years ago. We would have been put in the gas chamber. Mm-hmm. We would have been given the death sentence, a death penalty. You know, you can't go out there and steal a pint of milk. They're locking people up for trying to speak the truth. They're locking people up for wanting justice. This is what's going on in the UK. Do you know how many cases of targeted people I come across, and victims whose families been killed, victim after victim after victim after victim after victim in the UK?
Oh, it's the same over here. It's the same over here in the US.
America.
And across the world, you know, in Europe and Australia.
Right around the world. And you know, the sad thing is because like today, I actually watched a video. I don't know if you saw this, but there's a video of an African pastor in Nigeria who was basically, they're being killed en masse in Nigeria right now. Okay.
Oh, no,
And
I haven't
in
seen
this video, which was tweeted to me today, earlier on today, he was screaming, America, America, where are you, my America? We're being killed. And he talked about another pastor's whole family was killed. Okay. Then I tweeted back, we're being killed here as well. He was saying, Britain, where are you? We're being killed. And the thing was, he was under the impression, the illusion that any of these countries are going to come over there and actually rescue them, because they've been watching and sedated by the mainstream media, the people who are carrying out the atrocities.
And that's the point we need to make. Absolutely. Media is not just putting out wrongful stories or distractive stories. It's covering up crimes, and it's covering up the real news.
Crimes.
And committing, participants.
Committing crimes, and only that. This is the importance. When you say fake news, you don't understand how important it is. Because they have lulled people into a false sense of security. They've lulled people into a false reality that doesn't exist, a world that doesn't exist. In the real world where we're living today, there is no judicial department that cares for people. You cannot go to the police, especially if you've got melanated skin. It's worse, it's bad for everybody. But there is institutional racism as well in the police departments. That's factual. Okay, that's not to say that everybody isn't targeted. Everybody is targeted from all races and all nationalities and all religions. In fact, if you're a Muslim right now and you want to be a pious, peaceful, loving Muslim, your life is going to be made hell, because they've chosen to use that group of people as a scapegoat. Okay, some of the people that are in, I'm sure there are people with Muslim names that are also satanic. Okay, but the reality is, we have a satanic problem. It's not a Muslim problem, it's a satanic problem. We have Luciferian, demon-possessed people who are running around absolutely insane with the tools, the tools and the
weapons.
The weapons to carry out atrocities to innocent people on a scale like they're playing PlayStation. It's like they're playing Xbox.
On an incredible scale, you know, huge.
On an industrial scale across the globe, okay? We've seen the fires that are taking place all over the world, which are directed energy weapons. There is no way on this planet that you can have a fire and a tree doesn't burn down, and the tree is only burning from the inside of the tree, and all the greenery is still standing, and the other buildings and everything else is turned to ashes. That's impossible.
Absolutely.
It's being done en masse in the most horrific way possible.
Also the hurricanes and the, you know, all of the tornadoes and whatnot, all of these weather warfare events.
Absolutely. Weather modification.
Thousands killed, yes.
1,000 killed.
Look what happened in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic. Whole islands wiped out, you know. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. After Grenfell Tower, because a lot of the people in the building who were my family were Dominicans, okay?
Mm-hmm.
After, it didn't take long, let's say Grenfell Tower happened in June of 2017. But I'm sure it was August. It was either August or September 2017. They took out the island. Out the island. If you speak to most islanders, they will tell you they did that deliberately because they wanted to wipe out people in that place. People are becoming more and more and more awake to the horrors that is kicking off non-stop. Now, the reason why it is imperative that we come to a position now, let me just kick this thought, Ramola, and let me see what you think about it, just to get your feedback on this. Because I personally believe, Ramola, that we are in this position because we have given our power away. We have focused on the externalization of power. We have given our power over without realizing to people who do not have our best interest at heart. And what we need is to pull back that power back to each and every one of us as an individual and become back to the internalization of power.
Absolutely.
Okay, that
Absolutely.
means me losing my senses, using my intelligence, using my knowledge, using my wisdom, using my eyes, using my intuition, using my heart to read what a situation is. Okay, when we see something happen, they're telling us what we saw happen didn't happen. Okay, and they have a whole media machine to spin the lie and make the lie so big that we doubt our very selves. We doubt our own intelligence when we look at a situation and we know, no, that was deliberate. They tried to force feed the public that this is what happened. Even though what they're saying happened, they know themselves that did not happen. It's completely a lie. Okay, so we have to pull back from that position and Ramola, recognize that these people do not have our best interest at heart.
Yes.
These people who you fear,
to realize that.
If you and I did even 1 inch of what these people are doing to people en masse, they will come down on us like a ton of bricks. Do you think that they would be sitting passively like a lot of people? We're sitting passively. You see, and this is what we're doing, the pacification of the human being. This is what this Q situation, in my opinion, is all about. They've got this Q, an anonymous figure that nobody knows about, nobody sees. Everybody's following, not everybody, some people are smart. They've got this Q figure where everybody's watching to hear, like a soap drama. To me, it's an extension of the whole Operation Mockingbird situation. Okay, I do not believe for 1 second that it's not the deep state behind that Q. I've been watching that situation kick off. People are saying, oh, they knew beforehand that this was going to happen. Of course they knew beforehand, because they're the ones doing it. Okay, I do not trust that at all. What I will say, there may be some people in there for good reasons, but I see social engineering. There's a movie called The Wave. Have you ever seen that movie, Ramola, called The Wave?
No, I've heard a lot about it, and I've read about it, actually, so I do know what it's about. You know, the thing that you're talking about regarding Q, it's, you know, you could be entirely right, who knows, but it appears to be that there are some people in Intel who are attempting to work behind the scenes, and every now and then we see some kind of change. Now, you had made a remark earlier on that you felt that things were kind of coming to a head and things were moving and shaking, right? You felt that change was on the way, that things were happening. Do you still feel that? You said there was, with some arrests being made and so forth. You can't be completely certain that it's total change, because we know they manufacture change as well, right?
Well, here's the thing. I believe, well, not what I believe, what I've seen is that this Q has been there for a whole year, saying that there's going to be indictments, mass arrests, thousands upon thousands, and it's been a whole year and nothing has happened. Last Christmas, there was a scene of Washington crossing over, which was supposed to symbolize that they were going to Gitmo, and all these criminals, Clinton, all the deep state monsters, the usual suspects were going to be in Gitmo. That a year later
happened. That's true.
That was just a load of nothing has happened. Okay, so we know that there is a very deliberate attempt to stop people from mobilizing. Okay, when people do mobilize, they put in these plants, these perps, these actors, these infiltrators who pretend to be one of us. Okay, and in order to break, cause division in one way or another. Okay. And so what all of these things, the end game of all of these things is to disempower all of us from rising. However, we have now hit a point, and I'm seeing it very much so with the hashtag campaign. And I'll tell you and show you a little bit about that in a minute, because I know we don't have a lot more time. These people have been anticipating. Put it this way, if you imagine if you had done the scale of crimes and atrocities and nobody has been arrested, and you know that these crimes are going on en masse, and it's hit the street where people, because most people are isolated, they don't know what's going on over there and over there, over there. But once you start realizing, because the media has controlled things to make sure the voices of the victims, the voices of the injured, the voices of the families is nowhere. So because these voices are squashed, there is this false impression that this is not going on. But the reality is there are now thousands and millions of people all over the world who have come forward in one way or another. That's why we're getting all these survivor stories. More and more people are coming forward, because fear has been used as a currency to disable people and disempower people from coming back to your own power and saying, I have a right to say what I saw. I have a right to express what I witnessed. I have a right to what I'm going through. I have a right to what is being done to me. I have a right to express that. People are being silenced from having even coming to the courage to stand in that truth. People are being so brutalized to stop people from being able to come forward and say anything. So, but we've transitioned past that point now. So here comes the hashtag campaign. The reason I said to myself, well, we have this climate of complete distrust. I myself, there's a lot of people I don't trust, Ramola, okay? Because my case is connected to some of the largest events in global history, 7/7 bombings, Charlie Hebdo. Everybody saw these things play out, and my case is directly connected to it. Not only that, my work, Strictly Come Dancing, that was stolen, Dancing with Stars, You Are What You Eat, 10 Years Younger, Diet Doctors, a catalogue of works that were stolen from me to fund this criminality, okay, has been basically whitewashed over so that nobody is able to get access to knowing about it. But then even when you go on the so-called alternative media, independent media in social media, they don't want to hear it. A lot of the people have not wanted to hear it either.
You know, we should have a conversation sometime about so-called alternative media, because I have a lot of thoughts about that, and certainly not for today, but there is definite control in alternative media, and it's a very contrived operation. Most of it is a very contrived operation. Most of it, almost, 90% of it.
Absolutely.
It's shocking when you actually see it.
We're talking about crimes that of a major magnitude. Grenfell Tower, we have a crime report. We have a crime report about 7/7 bombings, what really happened. We have a crime report about Grenfell Tower. And how many people are actually interested in reporting on it? You'd be shocked, Ramola, to see that all of these big channels, they are just there to feed people hope candy, to feed people false sense of security, just like the mainstream media. Okay?
Can I ask you a question about your report there, the Grenfell crime report that you created? Has anybody in old media in Britain called you up for a conversation or an interview on that subject?
Never. Not once. I've sent it to newspapers. When I went to the inquest of my cousin, Ernie Vital, there was some press there from, I can't remember if it was the Daily Mail, okay? Can't remember exactly. He gave me his name. He said to me, I'm completely with you. You know, all the families, I feel really bad about what happened. You know, I said, well, if you really feel bad about what happened, I challenge you and I dare you to print this crime report. I challenge you and your media to print that crime report and let the people know what really happened to the people in Grenfell Tower. The mainstream media and the TV networks were complicit in bringing down that tower and burning it up. So what are the chances that their papers are going to run the story? The only way that they would be able to run that story is if you get the criminals out of there. Okay, you need some courageous journalists who actually have some empathy for humanity, who are a little bit fearless, who think, you know what happened in that building to these people was so horrific. I don't care what happens to me. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to print this. I'm going to spend my night hiding inside this newspaper network, and I'm going to run this story. And even if it kills me, I'm going to do it. At least we will have the opportunity that this kind of thing won't happen to anybody else. But we don't have anybody like that in mainstream media. So no, none of them have. And on top of that, very few people, apart from yourself and Alfred Weber, who's asked me, and there's a CCN recently, I did an interview with Jo Lomax, beautiful, lovely lady, okay? Now, there's been very few people who actually want to interview about it. There was actually Red Pill outside Brian Harvey's court case recently. But what happened, Brian Harvey is a high-profile target from a boy band called E17, who for 21 years, because he witnessed something to do with a band member, they have targeted him in the worst way possible, okay? He had a court case on the 24th of August where I attended, and basically one of the people that have filmed him actually filmed me live, okay, outside the court, and I was explaining some of the things that I'm talking about to you, that the whole Murdoch empire and the whole corruption behind Murdoch and all the people behind Murdoch are all part of my case. So effectively, Brian Harvey and I have got the same people who have targeted us, okay? Now, Red Pill Phil put his video out after the court case, but they've made him take it down because they fear. Yes. There's a whole engineering operation, what I can personally see, to make sure that these type of information doesn't come out, that people are being sabotaged. I believe Brian is being sabotaged right now.
That's really horrifying. You know, that's really part of what's behind the intel agencies coming now to make a move to get Google and YouTube and Facebook censor people even more from publishing any information about any of the false flag analyses.
Absolutely. And they're engineering a whole situation to make sure that they keep a suppression on the truth, but they can't anymore.
Yes, I was going to suggest, since I'm really horrified that nobody followed up on the Grenfell Tower report, and I'm thinking, you know, I did put it on my website, but it was in PDF form. I couldn't quite HTML it and put it on my website at speed, I think, and that's what happened over there. But I would like to follow up with you a little further, and we can talk about really doing a focus on that report.
Is it on your website, the Grenfell Tower report?
I've posted it, but as a PDF, you know? Yeah.
That's okay. That's perfect, because it means that I can use the link to give it to people if they want to download it. That would be wonderful. Now, here's the thing. We have got to the situation now where we have to recognize that we only have each other as a humanity. Every single department who knows the truth about these monstrous crimes against humanity are not going to bring that to the public. They're not going to protect any of us. They're not going to do anything, okay? They've proven that to us again and again. And this is where the hashtag campaign comes in. It's really based on the fact that we've had enough. We've had enough, okay? Now, the inspiration for the hashtag campaign came from the release the memo hashtags. Now, if you remember, there was a whole scandal around Donald Trump's election campaign, and all of his people were surveillance. Again, that was all London. It's all coming from here. It came out Christopher Steele was a British spy and blah, 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 blah. It's all coming from here. I'm telling you, it's all coming from here. This is the belly of the beast. Okay. Now, when
that's really fascinating that everything is indeed coming out of London.
It is. This is the heart of it. This is the heart of, I'm telling you, this is why the UK has such an important role to play in actually coming forward and doing everything that we can to stop it. Because, you know, this is the heart of, once you shut it, this is the head of the snake. You take this down and everybody will fix up.
So Seven, let's talk a little bit about your hashtag campaign, because on the one hand, remember that the Release the Memo campaign was something that was picked up by mainstream media. I mean, it was a bit of a contrivance if you really look at it, because otherwise no, you know, paid journalist is going to be writing about a hashtag campaign. They're paid to do their job, and that's, you know, it became a big deal. It's all political. So, we are here operating in a very different space. We're in a space completely outside mainstream media, mindwash media, as I've started to call them, you know, and outside controlled opposition or alt media as well. We're here in the true media space. So given that the true media space is so sparse, you know, and so small, what can we do? And one key perhaps is in what you talked about earlier, that we need to go back to our individual power.
Yes, and internalization of power. Okay, because we've got into the habit of basically giving our power. So we expect this person over there that we don't know to care about us enough to act when something bad happens to us, or happens to our families, or happens to us as a collective society. But the reality is, in every single instance, they have let us down, and they've shown us not only that they're not going to do anything, they refuse to tell the truth. They will not report on themselves. They will not report on themselves. That's the reality.
That's right. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. And this is where we have to come to the reality. The penny has to drop that these people are actually only interested in protecting themselves at this point. Even if there is anybody within those institutions and organizations and corporations that may well want to protect us, the reality is those people will fear for their own safety if they seek to do something that will help in humanity. However, I still encourage those people that are in the media. I encourage the people that are honest, that know this has gone too far. It's what you're doing to the people, what they've done to me and you and everybody out there, all the targeted people. It's enough. It has to stop now. This is where we stop. This is where we recognize that system, a country that will kill its own people in broad daylight, whether you call it a country or a corporation or a system, it makes no difference. Literally any jurisdiction where people are operating to kill people, maim people, torture people en masse, and think that it's okay, we know that becomes null and void. Automatically, it becomes null and void. We have to turn our attention then, firstly, to recognize that's not there anymore. If you think any part of it is still there, it means that you're still part of the illusion. The illusion is still going on in your head. If you think that doing a petition to these people is going to change anything, that means that the illusion is still working in your head. If you think that you can go to any single department, write a letter, give your evidence, and any of those people are going to do anything about your situation, however horrific it may be for you, however much you are suffering, how much misery and pain and tears and, you know, sorrow that you go through every day of your life on your own, there's not one of those people in there that is going to do anything about it. And that's the first part of your healing, is to recognize the truth. That is just a truth. Once you get there, you're like, holy moly, there is nowhere. What else is there? Okay. However, we start to realize that we're 7 billion strong. They are the minority. They've engineered that the whole world be
focused on them.
Yes.
You know,
they've engineered it that all of us are looking to them when there's more of us than them. And we're just as skilled and even more skilled than a lot of the people in there, because they steal their parasites. They're literally vampire parasite people. They don't create anything. They just steal it. Do you know what I mean? They don't have any wisdom. The wisdom is with the people. The talent is with the people. The intelligence, the real intelligence, because intelligence implies wisdom, is with the people. It is not in any of those places. These people are low vibrational. They're operating from the lowest level of a humanity. These are low. Like, you can't believe. They don't have the intelligence. They don't have the capacity to feel. You know, I can watch a video of somebody else's case. I've done it and I burst into tears. They can kill people in a tower and go and drink champagne. That's who we're talking about. After they killed the people in the tower, the people were left homeless, walking around with the burnt clothes they had on, and they wanted to give them £10 a day, Ramola, grown adults.
Oh, unbelievable.
They wanted to stop them from having a home. They locked all the places that were helping these people. They actually changed the locks so they couldn't get in. The people were giving donations. They stole the donations, even the food that people gave to the people, they stole. This is who is in there. People, we have a problem, Ramola. Let me say this.
We do. We have a huge problem. And, you know, you do spell it out extremely well, because that's unfortunately the case. I mean, and many people actually do know that there is no help. But there's another, you know, faction of people who still think, oh, we've got to look for the next mainstream media story that talks about microwave weapons. When are they going to start recognizing that microwave weapons are being used? Let's look for the next article. No, the way I see it personally is we have to create our own media. We have to become the media. We are the media. Thank you.
You already are, my darling. And you're a lot better than any of them.
Thank you, Seven. We have to.
That's over those places. People like you should be in New York Times. It should be people like the people who are the genuine people with YouTube channels and on social media, on Twitter and all these places.
I totally agree.
Those who have to go in there. Those criminals in there, they need to be rooted out. One weed by one.
We have to replace the New York Times with the real Times. Absolutely. You know, with the real true Times. Absolutely. And, you know, that's the sort of thing that I'm striving to do. And I think there are a few other people who are also doing that. You certainly are doing that as well, Seven. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention. You've started your own channel. You're doing podcasts on your own at this point. I love it. And I loved that one video I saw of you offering legal advice to people, in a sense. Not exactly legal advice, but showing people how to file a claim in court, right?
Absolutely. It's so simple. It's just like opening a bank account. And so basically what I'm doing is sharing my tools that I've used along the way and the new tools, because I'm a concepts innovator. I'm a musician, but I'm also a concepts innovator, and I'm a thinker and I'm a doer. I think, you know, to me, too much talking is not going to get us results. We need to transition into the position of action. That's where we are right now. Now the hashtag campaign, because I know that time is of the essence, so let me try to tell you a little bit about the hashtag campaign before we sign off. Now, it's basically designed so that anybody can do it. If you've got a computer, if you've got a phone, it's simple for anybody to be able to do. As I said, it was inspired, it's not based on, but it was inspired by the Release the memo. Now, just to recap people's memories, in America, when this Christopher Steele, the false dossier about Donald Trump all emerged, there was basically a memo which told the truth, that had all the filth in it, etc. And basically the public wanted it. So they did a hashtag campaign. Everybody hit to Twitter and social media. And everybody created memes, not everybody, but people jumped on board. They were creating memes, released the memo. People had, you know, snippets of GIFs, which are moving images. So of movie clips like Leonardo DiCaprio holding a gun saying, release the memo, you know. And they had all these different inventive, creative ways. And they literally, they tweeted a storm. Literally, it was like a thunderstorm of tweets that came at them, and they realized we've got to release the memo. Whether the real memo was released or whether a redacted, revised version came out, who knows?
Redacted version.
Yes, but yeah. the point is that they recognized when all that energy by the collective people come together, even though people didn't know each other, everybody just put their 50 cents in, you know, release the memo, and it was just coming at you non-stop. Every day I would get on the computer and look at all these release the memo and laugh, because they would have funny images. Sometimes people use cartoon images. But anyway, that was what inspired. And I thought, hold on a minute, we should be using this to shut it down. So this is where the whole idea. Because what I also realized in regards to the UK, the UK have a history of abuse, enslaving people and not apologizing. They think they have an entitlement to treat people like the lowest of the lowest filth.
For centuries. For
centuries, they've done it. So they're used to treating people in that way and feeling that they have a privileged right to treat people like this. You know, we've got to remember the history of a horror movie comes from the UK. You know, when you go to the UK, their tourist attractions are all Tower of London, London Dungeon. It's nothing happy. It's all these demonic and horrible, vile things where they massacred and killed people.
Exactly. And now it's a tourist attraction. Yeah.
Yes. So that's the culture in the UK, and it has been for a long time. And they're not used to people telling them no. They're not used to people saying no more. You don't do it anymore. They're not used to countries telling them. They're not used to anybody standing up to them and saying no more. And so I thought, this is what we need. We need to join that hashtag. Because obviously it's not just the UK, it's going on everywhere. Right. But the UK, they've got a very, very important part. Sorry, Ramola, I'm just sweating.
That's all right. I'm sorry. I feel we should close the show up very soon so you can relax.
Okay, so basically...
you're talking about a hashtag campaign on Twitter. That's what it is, right? No more abuse. Yes, so like a declaration of non-consent, kind of? That's what it is?
Yes. So basically, we're doing things like hashtag no more abuse, hashtag no more evil. Can I just show people very, very quickly?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So that we could just give people an idea. Anybody can participate. You don't need any money. All we need, so you can see right now, that's my Twitter account.
Okay.
And my numbers keep going down. I mean, they've gone up today, but tomorrow probably, once I stop looking at it for a while, it will go back down to 100.
I've seen that happen all the time to my tweet views. It's ridiculous.
Yes, so this is basically, the typical shadow banning scenario. So anyway, here's an article that shows from today to yesterday that this paper has folded. So we've started our tweet. Let me show you our Twitter. Let me see if I can go into my account. Okay, so these are my tweets, and this is the one that's pinned. Okay, fake news, MSM, which is mainstream media, are the enemy of the people. That's a hashtag. And then basically shut down evil corporations. So then I've done a video which basically explains why we need to be doing this. And these are some examples of some of the hashtags. So we've got no more evil, no more abuse, mainstream media's murder for profits, mainstream media are the terrorists, get murderers out. So basically, it's not so much just a declaration, it's actually a confrontation. It's designed to be confrontational. It's designed to get people to express how they really feel and be empowered. because we're being put into a position where we have no power, but we have all the power. The power is the people's. So basically, we have things stop mainstream media false flags.
And you know,
Stop
Seven,
mainstream media. Sorry?
I was going to say you can also send this to mainstream media.
Absolutely. That's the second part.
Twitter handles, yeah.
Absolutely. So let's have a look at some of this. So basically, all the hashtag is, let me give people an example how to send a hashtag. All right. So you're gonna go to your tweet. So basically, this is the hashtag symbol, which most people know. Oh, sorry, that's the hashtag symbol. So once you put any letters beside it, it becomes a hyperlink. So the hyperlink is the same as you would have for a website, for instance, for instance. So you're turning a word into a hyperlink. Now that hyperlink, so that no more abuse. So you'll see all of that will light up now. And so then you can do as many hashtags as you want. So no more evil. So we have a selection of hashtags, and the idea is that we all use the same ones. Obviously, here and there, people can express what they want to say, but the main bulk of the hashtags that we're using is all at the same time. So basically, I will blast out the hashtag, and basically everybody that sees it, once it's blasted and it turns up on your timeline, you blast it onto your people, they blast it onto their people. The idea is that we get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now let me show you what happens. So then you would tweet that out. You just press tweet and then it goes out, okay? So these are ones that I've tweeted earlier. I'm gonna just cancel this. Okay, whoops. Because I just want to discard. Okay, so we could retweet this one, for instance. Now, these now become a hyperlink, just like a website. So when you click on these, it's going to take you to the actual hashtag. So now we have, because people are all, it's started to
I see. So this is where everyone would come together. So if you just clicked on the link, you'd see everybody who ever used that hashtag, right?
Right, exactly. So now we've turned it into its own page, its own section of the Twitter.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay, so that's the beauty. So now it's recognized. So if we look, we'll see people are actually, so they're putting it to RT News. So RT News has 78,000 followers, and that's the idea also. Also, we need to send it to people who have large numbers. Okay, so when we're dealing with RT News, we know we're dealing with big numbers. So we want to expand as quickly as possible. So these are people who are all part of it, who are all participating in one way or another. And so, yeah, there's you. So basically, that's one hashtag. Now you can actually go into the hashtag directly and then send a tweet that way. So if I was to go into my tweet like this, it will automatically provide that hashtag to you. Okay. So then you can add a picture, you can add an image, you can add a photograph, and then automatically it's going to go into that section.
That's brilliant. Now, and you could you call attention to different situations or events that require a little bit of attention, perhaps?
Absolutely. So basically, if something is happening where somebody's been abused, we get strategic, where we bombard that organization and we bombard those people, because what they don't like is transparency. They also do not like to be confronted. We're dealing with cowards and bullies. So they're not used to being told no, and they're used to being able to hide behind their lies. So like, for instance, one of the hashtags is we know what you've done. Okay. So when you start becoming strategic, at this point, what we're doing is getting people used to the idea of blasting out hashtags. Now, if we look here, okay, if we look at, go back, discard. Let's go to discard. So let's go to another, we're going to go back to my page. Is that my page again? Yeah. So then we've got we've got MSM murder for profits. Let's click that and see if that has become a hashtag yet. See, so we've got that. That's now become a hashtag. So it means the idea is that we want to flood the internet, blast the internet with these hashtags, because once a hashtag has got a lot of people doing it, these hashtags will start trending, which means that they will appear in the trending section. And I'll show you what that looks like. If we go back to my other page, if we go down here, trends for you. These are all usually hashtags. Mother's Day, Newsnight, that's a hashtag, and it shows you how many tweets. Now, when we start building up the numbers, we've already turned them into tweets. So these are other people who are on board. So we've got no more false flags, no more fear, no more lies, show your face. We got stop abusing Brian Harvey, stop abusing Seven. We've got no more big pharma, no more secrecy, no more military industrial complex. So basically, we got a number of different hashtags, and we're blasting them out one after the other. And so eventually, if we get to high numbers, they become on this list here. It will start trending. Once it starts trending, it puts into a position whereby it has to be picked up by the mainstream media. It means they can't ignore it anymore. So that's the thing. The other thing is that's very important is...
That's interesting, Seven. I thought they could ignore anything they wanted. That seems to be the way they function, generally speaking. But but if the numbers would lead to that, that's, you know, it's something...
Yes, when something is viral, that means they know that everybody knows it's there, okay? And especially if you, when you start bringing them into the hashtags, because that's the second part of this, which we haven't really been using, but we're going into that phase now. So the second part of this hashtag campaign is that if you click on this, for instance, okay, no more evil. Let's click on no more evil and go back to that hashtag. So all hashtags stay here. There's two new ones. Let's see. So somebody else, people. So this is kicking off now. It's starting. All people from all around the world have jumped on board, because it is a way that we can become empowered. Let's get rid of, look at who they put there. Get rid of him. Anyway, so basically, it's a way for people to become proactive and actually engage. Now, one of the other things that we can do with hashtags is that we can actually, so when you see this at YouTube, that means that,
you're sending it to their page, and that's what I was suggesting a little bit earlier. You know, send it to mainstream media, send it to the BBC and the Sunday Times and all that.
If you go into this hashtag, you can write your statement. For instance, you can put a picture of a false flag or the cameras, or you could put the Farrell report, which shows you about the false flags behind 7/7 bombings, for instance. You can put that in. You put in no more evil and let's go. Let's just do that now. www.the Farrell report. So what I'm going to do before this, I'm going to send it out to all my people and say blast.
That's great.
So basically, so what will happen then? You do at BBC. But then you send it to networks. You send it to them there.
Yes.
So this is when you start going directly to the people that who are the offenders, okay? Because we want them to know that we know and that we're having it no more. So, because this is the key about this hashtag. This is telling them we're not going to accept your evil no more. But the point, what we do with the hashtags, we usually don't do one, we do several. So we go no more evil, no more abuse. You can just copy the ones that are there before. What you would do is all the people who you know are criminals, like the BBC. So we're going to do another hashtag. Let's do another BBC. Whoops. It should come up B. Okay, B. All right, so BBC UK. So then you can click it there, BBC News. And you can go hashtag, sorry, so you're doing the @ sign, and we're going to do BBC, whoops, let's do it with a capital B, because it will come faster. So we've got BBC, there's loads of BBCs. So you can click all of the BBCs and everybody blast it to them. Everybody. But you basically, so I'm going to do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's BBC News. What was that? Then we've got BBC World, BBC News, BBC, what's that one? Then we're going to do another BBC at BBC. We're going to keep, basically what you would do, you would send it to all the different organizations. Like you could take, for instance, the Grenfell Tower report and send it to them. You can not only do that, the point that we're doing is we're confronting them. We're letting these people know that we want you out. We know what you're doing. So some of the hashtags says, we want you out, or we have get the criminals out. And then we hashtag, and then we put this like this. So BBC, let's do another BBC. Let's see what other BBCs there are. We haven't included. Let's do BBC this one.
Breaking news.
Yes. So then you do that, and then you just basically tweet. It's going to go to them.
Wonderful. Yeah, so that's great. So
you pick it up on your timeline. The people will pick it up on the timeline. Everybody else who's part of the team. So they're going to strategically blast that as well. And the key is we have to get it to people who've got big numbers, because obviously people like myself are shadow banned. You know, so they keep the numbers very, very low. So it's very hard to know how many people are watching. But we want to get this so that it becomes literally everybody all over the world is part of a tweet storm directly blasting at these people. Okay?
It's wonderful. So it's sort of a direct message to give to them, is what you're saying.
Yes. It's basically telling them that the jig is up. We've had enough of it now. We've had enough of your lies. We've had enough of your evil. We're not taking your bullshit anymore. Okay. So what we do, whatever statement you want to make, most of the hashtags will cover most of the statements. We have enough is enough. We have, we want you out, get the psychopaths out, get the Satanists out, mainstream media are murdering people for profits. We've got very direct statements. We've got statements that we can use to inform people. So it has different functions. It has the function of informing people, because people are going to say, what's this no more evil? Mainstream media murders for profits. What's that? And then they'll click on that link, and it's going to take them to video after video of evidence after evidence to show the people who are not aware exactly what's happening. The other important function about this is when you make videos on YouTube. Now, what these criminals always do, they always make themselves into the victim, Ramola. So when you put this in front of your page, they always say, oh, that was hate speech and this was hate speech. And they do reverse psychology so that people stop talking about their crimes. So how we defeat that is by putting the hashtag no more evil or no more abuse in the front of your video. Every video that you make, you put the hashtag no more evil. Then it signifies to YouTube and all those different channels that you are involved in no more abuse, you're anti-abuse. So they can't accuse you of hate crime, of being hate speech. If you've got the
really
hashtag.
Interesting.
So there's a science on that level as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So it helps to protect us with freedom of speech, because how they're getting away with freedom of speech is of taking away speech. And people who are reporting real news about false flags and their criminality is that they're saying, oh, there was hate speech in that. And you were saying this is designed to condition people into not speaking the truth and being empowered. So in order to empower people, how we need to do it, if you put hashtag no more abuse in the beginning of every video that you make, either no more evil, no more abuse, or something to that. Number one, it tells people, it shows that we're all strength in numbers, that we're all growing, okay? And it means that it sends the message also to the criminals this person has had enough as well, that this is growing, okay? Because we have no way, they're going to suppress the numbers. So we won't know how many people know what's going on and know about this. But a way to be able to know that this has grown is by putting that hashtag into your videos. So you title your video with no more abuse or no more evil, then you put your title of your report or what have you. So it shows that you're on side, and it helps everybody to get committed as well. So I wanted to show you as well, let's go back to this page before we sign out.
Well, we have to sign out pretty soon.
Yes, I know. We're going to sign out now, Ramola. I just wanted to show you this. This newspaper shut down. Now, I think that the fact that we are doing what we're doing is having an impact. We're going to start to see a lot of these newspapers. They said, oh, people have stopped buying it. So now
that's actually true. Nobody's buying, print newspapers anymore.
Absolutely. Also, we're going after these people. So you're going to start to see that we are the power. The power is the people's. Okay, so once you start blasting these people who have been complicit in one way or another in allowing this whole machinery of evil to keep turning, once we take our power, because they can't operate this in the spotlight, Ramola, that's the other thing. When you send tweets to these people, they'll realize, oh my God, we've been busted. Where do they go? They have to admit it, or they have to shut down. So basically, that's the other side of it, I mean, obviously, the end game is that we shut the whole machinery of evil down.
That is the end game. That's the end game that we, the people, envision. I think the end game they envision is transhumanism.
Absolutely.
Take over of people's brains, mind control people to death, directed energy weapon people to death, and control neighborhoods and communities with lies about
Absolutely. So that just gives you a little demonstration. I know we've spoken longer than we intended to today, but I think it is a very important broadcast. I think hopefully it will, because there's a lot of people feeling like disempowered. What do I do? How do I make a difference? Now, there's strength in us doing something as a collective. We don't have to know each other. We don't have to speak to each other. All you have to do is retweet whatever. When these tweets come your way, tweet them to big numbers. People have got massive audience. This is the way that we're going to spread fast. The other thing that you can do, you can tweet to existing hashtags. So for instance, let me just quickly go back. Ramola, are you still there? I can't see you anymore.
I'm still here.
Okay, sorry. Let me just quickly show you this one last thing and then we'll say goodbye, because I want to, show people how we can best use this. So this is things I want doubled. Okay, so that's a hashtag and it's got 4,481 people. So you look for the biggest hashtag. The biggest hashtag right now, these are tweets about Colin Kaepernick. It's not necessarily a hashtag, but it has Colin Kaepernick. What you would want to do is that you would want to click on it. Obviously, you should do it to things that are relative. Okay. And then basically you put your tweet with your hashtag, tweet it in there, because it means everybody looking at that page is going to be able to see. So if you put in no more evil, no more abuse, if you're in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick, then you would say something about what he's doing in relation to what we're doing here to let him know, because there's a lot of these kind of revolutionary figures that may well want to be on board. Once they see that, we have become mobilized.
That's another way of connecting, is what you're suggesting.
Yes, because these people, he's got people, 500,000 people. So there's going to be 500,000 people looking at his page, okay? Everything about Colin Kaepernick. So basically, there's different people contributing to that page, and they retweet things into this section. You can tweet into existing sections in order to grow this campaign. That's the fastest way that we can actually spread the message. Advice for freshmen, you know, you look at all the trending hashtags and you can type in certain things, like you might say something about justice, for instance, justice for Grenfell, that will come up. So then you look at, okay, maybe people that justice for Grenfell will be interested in that because it's relative, the people died in the tower. I mean, there's so many aspects of this. You could put in all kinds of things into, you know, targeted individuals. So basically you put that in and then you pick up numbers. Or you could do strictly Dancing with Stars, which is my stolen work. You can start blasting them. These are numbers that are massive, but it's relative because I am the owner of that franchise. You know, I'm the creator of it. So there is a lot of places we can do. We can get inventive about it. I understand that there's going to be some sort of people's party. I don't know who's behind it. There's a new hashtag which has joined forces called British Fight, but I don't know who they are. They say that they're the British side of Q, but I thought Britain was behind the American Q anyway. Okay. So, you know, I don't know what that's all about as yet. It's very fresh to me. But yeah, so basically it has expanded. There's different people now jumping on board. So the Q situation is jumping on this hashtag campaign. Now, even though I don't necessarily, you know, I don't subscribe to the whole Q phenomena, but there are hundreds of thousands of people that do.
Yes, and they're very good people. I mean, a lot of people who are looking for the same things you and I are looking for, you know?
Yes, there's a lot of great, wonderful people who want freedom, just like us, who have been tuning into the Q phenomena because they want to get the nuggets of truth, the breadcrumbs of truth. And, you know, those people are not necessarily, once they become aware of the hashtag campaign, you know, they will come on board as well. So however, my point is, however we can reach out to people, obviously social media is the fastest way to do it, to embed our hashtags inside existing hashtags that have big numbers. Go for the ones with high numbers and put your hashtag in there, because it means that people who are watching that thread, yours is going to come up in there as well. So
that's so brilliant. You have such wonderful ideas. I hope everyone who's listening and watching will indeed join this hashtag campaign, because there's so many different ways that you're suggesting to get to a larger audience.
Absolutely. Well, let's put it this way, Ramola. Everybody watching, and I've said this in my previous videos, everybody watching is the difference between life and death. You are the difference between this evil, corrupt, genocidal, terrorist, murderous, criminal enterprise that calls itself a country, that calls itself a government, that calls itself a media, that calls itself an intelligence agency, that calls itself any of that stuff that is supposed to protect us.
Exactly.
Is right now engineering by day and by night to kill every last one of us. Okay, now every single person is, you know, you are the difference. You are the difference between them getting away with it, them being able to continue that program, and us stopping it. Right now, people all across the world are joining in this campaign, and I'm asking you to get on board. You people who are starseeds, you people who are targeted individuals, you people who are twin flames, you people who could subscribe to the indigo and the whole spiritual phenomena of gifted, wise people. You have intelligence that has the ability to be creative and get the message using music. We can be using music to get the message. However you have creativity, make a song.
Or art, or writing.
Absolutely, and put it in the hashtag and blast it. We need to start thinking along the lines of music concerts to spread the message. We also need more people doing their testimonies and then starting a video with a hashtag. Even if you've never started a YouTube video before, now is the time to do it and put the hashtag in solidarity with us, okay? And then blast it to us. You've seen my my tweet page. What do you call it? My Twitter page. Sorry. I'm old school, you can tell. I'm learning this just like you guys, you know, I'm old. So, you know, it takes me a while. So anyway, that's my Twitter handle right here. Join my Twitter account. Join Ramola's Twitter account, which is Ramola D.
It's at ECC every day.
Is it Ramola #D?
No,
Sorry?
you know, I started one for my website, which is at ECC every day. And so I'm kind of using that as my main Twitter handle.
What your ECC? Can I go ECC? Okay, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay, so there's Ramola here. Let's go on to Ramola's page so that you see. Join her Twitter. Subscribe to her channel because they like to keep our numbers low. Okay, so this is her Twitter handle. Join to her because basically what we want to do is become a team. So when I tweet something, it will appear on her page. Then she can tweet it out to her audience because obviously we're all going to have slightly different audiences depending who's following us and who we're following, etc., etc. So we want, it's like a chain reaction, a chain reaction. And if we spend a little bit of investment every day, that's all we need, a little bit of investment. And if, as you see, Ramola has done it to at all these different people. So when she tweeted out whatever she tweeted it out, it went to all these different people in the very same way. As much as you tweet out to friends, when you're actually tweeting, we want you out, that's when you direct it to these corporations. We direct it to Monsanto. We direct it to the Bilderberg Group. We direct it to all these media networks and all these criminal organizations, as much as we do direct it to our friends and family to spread the awareness. It's a great way for everybody to educate each other and all of us to all join in without ever having to see one another. You don't need any money because you're going to have an internet connection anyway. You can do it on your phone as long as you've got a Twitter. And also we need young people because young people grown up in this social media generation. So we need them on board. So if you know big artists, please send it to them. Send this video to different people. Tweet it out to different people so that they can follow us too. Ramola, I have to apologize for being longer than we planned to do. It always happens. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. This turned out to be kind of a focus broadcast just on your campaign. So that's fine. You know, I think hopefully people can use this as a reference and come back to this to see the many ways in which you can use this hashtag, as Seven has kind of explained in detail to all of us.
Yes.
So it's been great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to kind of click off the recording pretty soon, but let's stay in the meeting, and I want to talk to you 5 minutes about Grenfell and a possible project that we can pick up to bring the Grenfell crime report to the front, and also to bring the whole story of the survivors and the victims of that horrendous tragedy, you know, to keep that in the public eye. Yeah, so I absolutely. So we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ramola, for having me. Everybody out there. The storm has begun. We are the storm.
We are the storm.
Last blast.
And there's going to be a positive end for humanity if we keep stepping forward in the right way. So
shut down. That's what we're doing. So bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And I'll be back very soon with another news break. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.